Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Dexter Black of DexterDBlack.com. This morning, as I normally do, I read at least one chapter out of the Bible every morning to start my day out right. And today I was reading out of the book of Ruth, and I really felt inclined to share it with you this morning. Don't tune me out, even if you're not a Christian or believer. Just listen to this principle because it's going to help anyone, even if you're not a believer at this point. It was out of the book of Ruth in Ruth chapter 2, excuse me. And it was about Ruth and Naomi who had lost their husbands. Uh, Naomi went back to her homeland because they had no means of income. There was a famine in their land. And she wanted to go and live by her relatives at least to hopefully have them help them, to survive and have a place to live. Now, what's interesting about the story is Ruth is a Moabitess, which is from a different country than Naomi was. And Naomi, when she went back to her family, she told Ruth and her other daughter-in-law, who was also in the same situation by chance, that, hey, go ahead and leave me. I'm too old. I can't have any more children. And even if I wasn't, what are you going to do? Wait until I have more children to marry? So one of the daughter-in-laws kissed her bye and said thank you and left. But Ruth decided to stay with Naomi, and she says, I'm going to stay with you to the day that you die and I die. And your people are going to be my people, and your God is going to be my God. And so Ruth stayed with her mother-in-law and helped her out. And it's interesting, when they came into their Naomi's relatives' land, they had to gather food. There wasn't grocery stores back then like it is nowadays. So back then, if you didn't own your own land and you needed to collect food, you would go into the field and harvest the leftovers. So that was their method of today's welfare in the USA. And what was interesting was Ruth ended up going into Boaz's field and it was harvest time. And so Boaz's men were out there working in the field, harvesting the wheat out there. And Boaz comes along, the owner of the land, and happens to be Naomi's relative also. And he says, "Hey," to the headmaster, "Who's this lady?" And he explained, "Oh, this is Ruth, the daughter-in-law of Naomi." And Boaz, I want to read this to you. Boaz looks at her and says to her, let me find it here. Okay, and so he looks at her, and Ruth says, and she says, "I pray you, let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves." So she came and has continued from early morning until now, except when she rested a little in the house. Then Boaz said to Ruth, "Listen, my daughter, do not go to glean in another field or leave this one, but stay here close by my maidens. Watch which field they reap and follow them. Have I not charged the young men not to molest you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink what the young men have drawn." Then she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to him, "Why have I found favor in your eyes that you should notice me when I am a foreigner?" Okay, now I want you to pay attention to his answer, because this is the key right here in doing well in whatever you do in life. And Boaz said to her, "I have been made fully aware of all you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and mother and the land of your birth, and have come to a people unknown to you before. The Lord recompense you for what you have done, and a full reward be given you by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." This is amazing, because Boaz could have just kicked her out and said, "Hey, you're not even of our people, leave." And she would have had to leave because it was his land. But because of Ruth's faithfulness to Naomi, she was taking care of Naomi. She was meeting all of Naomi's needs way before she even got paid back for anything. She wasn't looking to get paid back. She had a servant's heart, and she was serving Naomi, her mother-in-law, all this time. And now it comes to the point where Boaz, he has heard about all this, and he says, hey, I'm going to take care of you. You work in this field, you work with my men, they won't bother you. You get thirsty, you go drink, okay? And you go ahead and work in this field. And later on, he tells his men, I want you to continue to harvest and leave a handful for Ruth. Just every one of you, just leave a handful so she can freely pick it up. So now she doesn't even have to pick it off the vines or the stalks or whatever it is that they're harvesting. But now it's just there, laying there. And she can just pick it up and put it in her basket, her bag, whatever she had to harvest. And that's exactly what happens. And it's all because of her faithfulness, of her servant's heart to Naomi. And I believe whether it's in business or in life in general, that if you have a servant's heart, God's going to reward you for it. You will be rewarded for it. You do reap what you sow. It may not be right away, and you may not think anyone's noticing, but believe me, it's being noticed, and you will reap what you sow. And in this case, you'll reap a very bountiful harvest. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope this wasn't too long, and I hope you got a little something out of it. Have a blessed day.